Blessed Day Reflection by Abijah listeners. My name is Abijah Grant, and we are here to reflect on our life journey. We will be discussing topics related to self-awareness, self-improvement, and mental health. Also, the purpose of this safe space is for us to be free to discuss the ups and downs, celebrate the wins, and talk about ways to improve the lows. So welcome to this podcast, and I hope you gain something from this time we share together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reflection by Abijah. It is your girl, Abijah Grant. In today's episode, I have a special one for you because I had a chance to sit down and connect with Letha of Letha's Real Talk. We touched on so many topics such as losing a parent and how to navigate those tough times. We talked about creating a supportive space for kids. We also talked about embracing the truth and knowing that everyone matters and everyone is equal. This conversation is a full insight of resilience and realness. So I really do hope that you enjoy this podcast episode.
Well, my name is Letha. I am born and raised and reared in the beautiful state of Mississippi. I have 4 siblings. I have 3 awesome young adults that are no longer children. I graduated school at 17. I lost my mom at 17. And, that's just the gist of it. I'm a people person.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in trying to give people hope or some form of encouragement. So that's my thing. I like to encourage people, you know. So that's just basically to sum it up. That's just truly who I am.
That's excellent. I'm glad that you like to help people. I feel like that's, the same for me as that's the purpose of me creating this podcast, was to be able to help people and just share the information. I think so many of us want to sit down and be able to listen to somebody else who's kind of been through the same experiences that we've been through. So thank you just again for, the willingness to want to help people. That just right there just automatically tells me who you are. Because not everybody wants to help the next person. So you had mentioned about the loss of your mom at 17. I just want to, I know we had discussed in our interaction before, prior to this recording for this episode, that you had the loss of your mom. My question would be not even really starting there. Prior to the loss of your mom, was there any I want to say like challenges or things that you experienced in your life at that point prior to losing your mom? Or was it kind of like things started after she was gone?
No, things didn't start like per se after she was gone. I was a hard-headed teenager. I truly was, no, I've over the years tried to validate, but I've realized there's sometimes truly no validation. Sometimes you can raise and rear your kids the best way you can, so my mom and my dad did get divorced, but there was never a part in my life to where we were neglected. So we always had a community of people. And so I've realized over the years, because you think one way when you're an adolescent, you think another way when you become a teenager. When you're a young adult, you tend to think you know it all. And sometimes people try to conjure up things as to why they were the way that they were, when it just boils down to choices.
Definitely.
So a lot of what I did didn't have nothing to do but with my own personal choices. So I cannot say that anything led to me skipping school, or things did not lead to certain things, other than the fact that I was just who I was at that season in my life. Some of us go along with the flow, some of us rebel. I just hit a rebellious stage in my life, and I hit my rebellious stage. I started hitting it probably about the eighth grade,
Oh, wow.
eighth or the ninth grade. I started hitting like that rebellious like stage, and yeah. So there were no, and I'm 46, so I can
Mm-hmm.
honestly say nothing led to that, which made me realize over the years that, I know we in this world and we want to dissect and process everything down to a T, but honestly, sometimes from a mental aspect, when
Mm-hmm.
people make up in their minds mentally, no matter where you are as far as your age,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that where you are mentally, that just goes along with your actions. And then when you do things and you get away with it, you turn around and you do it again. And the only time we tend to try to slow down things is when we get caught. So
Mm-hmm.
I just did crazy, stupid stuff. I didn't get in harsh, I didn't get in a lot like bad trouble, don't get me wrong, but skipping school was still a big thing, because my mother and my father and my grandparents and my aunts and my uncles from both sides of the family was
Mm-hmm.
very strict about the
Mm-hmm.
education.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just, one of those people that wanted to play around,
Wow.
a little bit. So that's truly what that was during that
Wow.
during that time. Hmm.
Wow. I was too scared to skip school. My mom would have, oh man, I was too intimidated. I think she probably would have came to the school. Like I was always, like my family didn't live too far away from my school, about maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks in New York. It's everything is very close to each other.
Hmm.
And literally, I would be scared that somebody will pop up at my school and wonder where I was at.
She
Like I
did.
was,
She
oh, she
did. Teachers
did.
told it. I got called. Teachers told it. I don't know. When I first got called, I don't know. I toned down and then turned around and did it again. Like
Yeah.
every I was that one that would just test you. Have no valid
Wow.
reason why. I was just that one that would test you and push you to the brink. So, you know, I have no
Yeah.
valid reason why. I just don't know. I was,
You just don't know.
going through that
Wow.
stage, and and I wasn't heavily persuaded by anyone. Mm-mm.
Like you said, it maybe came to a situation where I got away with it before, so we're just
Mm-hmm.
gonna go ahead
And do it
and do it
again.
again
Mm-hmm.
and get away with it. And then, I mean, I know you said it was not due to the actions of other people saying, "Oh, you should skip school," but it's kind of exhilarating. I guess you can say in a way, being able to get away with it, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody else knows, but
Mm-hmm.
you got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow,
You know, it wouldn't
wow.
be doing social studies or nothing like that. Like, how many people miss you doing gym or study hall?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And as long as you was, I mean, at that time I would assume you was getting decent grades.
I mean,
So
I could have been doing a lot better. You
yeah.
know, I could have been. I could put half the effort in and still do pretty good.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome because not
Mm-hmm.
me. I gotta be there all day, every day. It was school was a struggle for me. Was a struggle for real. So, getting to like the passing of your mom, because I that is the part where I think um it's a big change.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, how did that affect you?
Well, I was a senior. That was my senior year, and I
Mm-hmm.
can remember almost. I can't remember everything because it was a
Mm-hmm.
pretty horrible situation that happened. But I can remember it was October the 13th,
Mm.
1995, Friday. It was Friday, October the 13th, 1995. And I had brought my last disciplinary slip home to my mom. Another disciplinary slip for something crazy I did at school. I don't know.
Mm.
And then the next day, which was Saturday, October the 14th, we was involved. It was my mother, my younger sister, and myself. We was involved in a very bad car wreck where we got hit with a drunk driver. And
Wow.
and that's what my mother left out of here. So the guy that hit us, he died, and my mom, uh, she died as well,
Wow.
instantly in the accident. And so from that point, because I can remember being in the hospital, and
Mm-hmm.
one of my teachers I was really close to her. You know, I can remember seeing her face. I can just see a glimpse of her
Mm-hmm.
face, and I can remember seeing my aunt, and my aunt was letting me know that my mother didn't make it in that car, and that she
Mm-hmm.
was going to take care of us like my mother took care of her and her children when her husband died. And
Mm-hmm.
and so, you know, it's things every now and then I have little glimpses of things that happen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think somehow one of us got out the car, and I don't know if we end up calling my down at my grandmother's house, and my uncle answered the phone. So it's things that I can't quite remember,
Yeah.
because I was on the front, so I'm still scarred and everything from that car wreck. Um, a little minor head injury. I think the head injury was probably a little deeper than probably, I blanked out, of course. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's truly how that happened. So that
Wow.
was my senior year in high
Wow.
school, and I had just turned 18 that August. No, 17 that August, because it was 1995. So I just turned 17 that August during my high school senior year. And so, so now here my aunt is the youngest of 9 children on my mom's
Mm-hmm.
side. And my grandfather, he had died the year before. My mother's dad, he died the year before. And she had already lost her husband at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're living with this young woman. She's got her mother, her 3 children, and now 2 of her sister's children. And my aunt was not even 40 years old at the time.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So pretty much it was a full house. It was,
Wow.
them five of you guys, now
Mm-hmm.
seven of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we made it work.
Wow. Well, I want to say props to your aunt because, going through the loss of a sibling
Mm-hmm.
and then now not having, let me correct my words, now opening the door to then raise her children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, blessings to her for
And that wasn't
doing
her first
that.
sibling. That wasn't her first sibling she lost.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that wasn't the first
Wow.
one.
Yeah, blessings to her because it's it's a lot to raise children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm, with her being pretty, I mean, I know you said that your grandmother was there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you mentioned that, but primarily she's the adult
Mm-hmm.
and she's having to raise, you're 17, you are now transitioning out of that role of high school, possibly looking to college,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're having another child,
Mm-hmm.
um, in addition to that you're raising, then you have your own three. So wow, wow, wow. Well, blessings to her for doing that. How did you feel? I want to kind of ask that question at that point.
I mean, just probably blank. I mean, my aunt was always there. That's why I'd say
Mhm.
I cannot say that. We was my mother's side. They were very close knit. They was
Mhm.
big family. It was a lot of siblings, but they was very close knit. So it wasn't like I was moving in with this stranger. I mean, we lived on family land. So
Mhm.
she had her house, and uh, on her little spot, and my grandparents had their home. Even though my grandfather had passed and my grandmother moved in the house with her, then we was living in the house that actually on another part of the land. When my mother passed, we actually was living in a house that my granddaddy's mom, that was actually her house. So we was just truly a family knit structure, but it was still different,
It was
because
different.
you still in this space, not by choice but by force. And I think the biggest struggle for me was during that time is that I knew I had just got in trouble the night before, because I had just got in trouble the day before at school. I had a disciplinary slip that I brought home from school. So I think my biggest challenge for me was the fact that, I knew I had got in trouble again. So, for me, that was the biggest struggle with her leaving here. And I had just got reprimanded like less than 24 hours before. That was my biggest struggle.
So you did you feel guilty?
Well, I didn't feel guilty about what occurred. I don't even think I feel guilty. I think what just really bothered me was the fact that we never know. You truly just never know. And so, time showed me that, that we truly never know. And that it's very important that you should cherish your parents, regardless. You should always cherish them, and then just do our best to just do what we are required to do, because we cannot make the assumption of when they will or won't leave here, or when we will or won't leave here. So that was very different. Like I say, losing my granddad the year before, and now she was gone a year and some months later, and it some wounds you just per se don't truly heal from. You just do your best to deal. You have your good days, you have your bad days. So I just more so felt upset, because I would have wanted to at least say I'm sorry, or I love you, Mom, you appreciate it. I can remember a time throwing a fit in the mall over a pair of shoes. I can remember that. So I think sometimes we feel inclined or entitled, and that's truly not, in my most humble opinion, what this thing called life is about. I think we make life complicated
Unnecessarily.
Yeah, we overprocess, we overthink things. Life can be as simple as we choose to keep it. And I think that regardless of your situation, and it's just me personally, I think that your decisions are your decisions. But at the end of the day, when what one person does affects somebody else, you don't know if you're going to have an opportunity to tell them you're sorry. You don't know if you're going to have an opportunity to even see that last smile on their face. You really don't know. So I think that's when you go through life, I think it's important that we need to do our best to move in consideration. I think we need to be considerate of people before we harp on the word love, because I can love you and not be considerate of you.
100%.
So I think we have to be considerate of each other and our feelings and how we are with others, as well as how we respond to people or treat people. It's especially our elders, especially our elder generation. I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, because I know that. I mean, obviously, with I always talk about this. And I hate to talk about it, but the kids these days. I was talking to my husband about that yesterday. I said the kids these days, um, at least up here
Mm-hmm.
in my neck of the woods. I can't speak
Mm-hmm.
for you, in
Mm-hmm.
your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. I just it's just different than how that I was raised. Like we were raised. I felt
Mm-hmm.
I was raised with so much respect for my
Mm-hmm.
elders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and today is as if you're just you're a nobody. Like they treat you as if you are a nobody, as if they're more important than you. Just in
Mm-hmm.
how they things that they may say, things that they
Mm-hmm.
may do. Like for instance, I'm on the train in Jersey. I live in New Jersey. We have something called the PATH train.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing up, I was reading my book, and then I see this young guy. He was really young, really young, really young. And then this elderly person got on the train.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, you're gonna get up. You see this elderly person coming onto the train,
Mm-hmm.
standing, holding onto the bar,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew I know that you seen the person because you looked up and then afterwards you just looked down and as if you feared to look up again. Clearly that was your brain saying I should stand up and offer my seat to this person. Even if it's a female, I even hate that when I get on the train and all the men are sitting down, but all the women are standing up. And I'm just kind of like that one too. But going back into the youth,
Mm-hmm.
um, I just don't. You know what you're doing is wrong, but yet you're still doing it anyways. But always, what I try to do with these any situation is think about it in reverse. How would I feel if I was treated this way?
Mm-hmm.
I put myself into that person's shoes. But sometimes I feel like people don't even think about it to that point. It's as if they're oblivious, you know?
Here's the thing. Um, every generation brings something different.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Every generation. You can bag up the culture 50 and 60 years ago of
Mm-hmm.
humanity, not America, just humans across the board. And you can
Mm-hmm.
just look at the transitions from the way people were dressed then to the way people walk out the house now.
Mm-hmm.
What has occurred, I believe, and this is just my most humble opinion, regardless of when things were segregated or even back during slavery, is one thing that people had across the board in common, and people believed in religion and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So people believed in structure.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't, and see, these are these conversations that people don't want to have, because and every generation for the most part wants to come along and give their children something more than what they received in their generation. And if you
Mm-hmm.
look at it right now, you know what you had was more than enough
Mm-hmm.
because you're here.
Mm-hmm.
We think we didn't have enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so people want to overcompensate. Well, people just didn't overcompensate in things. People don't want don't people are not taking enough interest, and it hasn't been passed down. The ball has been dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say the culture, I mean the masses as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I know people want to say, well, you're responsible for what your kids learn, and okay, but guess what? When you went to school, Discipline was a big thing. If you cussed a teacher out when you went to school, you got expelled from that school.
Yeah.
Wasn't nobody writing up no IEPs, trying to get no check for nobody. People
Yeah.
that was in special ed was truly people that had certain types. See, this is what has
Yeah.
happened in the world. People have to be careful what they
Mm-hmm.
accept.
Mm.
Because the devil come knocking and you let him in, he ain't halfway coming up in there. He coming all the way up in there.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember, God bless his soul, my daughter's uncle, actually her great aunt. My kids was very little at that time. And I can remember he made a statement that, and we talking about this was back in probably 2012 or 11 or something other. And he made a statement to me and he said, you know, these kids don't have no fear.
Yeah.
Of God.
Yeah.
We was put with the fear of God in us.
Yeah.
So when people had a fit to take prayer after school and people didn't want nobody else, they didn't want nobody paddling their children and they didn't want nobody. See, that's what I'm talking about. The culture has shifted.
Yeah.
The culture has shifted as a whole.
Yeah.
So even when you came along in school or when I came along, a parent didn't get to decide if their child got disciplined at school or not. If you didn't want your child getting disciplined, your child just didn't go to that school.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't going to run up nowhere and run something. Your child was not going to take away from the learning environment of the other people who want their kids to learn.
Yeah.
And we're a culture of we accept anything. Nothing matters. So, you know, you made a statement. You say the guy knew better. We don't know if he knew better.
Just as true.
We don't know how he was taught. We don't know how he was raised. Clearly, he wasn't taught to get up. We don't even know who raising him.
This is true.
And so, you know, it's a sad, harsh reality. But that's just the reality that we are in. And, you know, if that would have occurred back when you and I grew up, he would have, anybody on that train could have said something to him.
Yeah.
But now you don't know who you can say anything to.
Yeah.
Because people have conformed to society's ways. People used to set the standard for society. But now you got, you know, people who are determining certain things and people are going along with the flow. You know, pay attention to the shows that's on TV. A lot of the stuff on TV was you used to have HBO and Cinemax to watch this stuff.
Not everything is on there.
But who approved it? Who co-signed on it? And I think these are things people need to start paying attention to. Pay attention to the time came to where, you know, people couldn't get paddlings in school. What's wrong with your child getting hit with a board? What's wrong with your child getting a belt? And I know we want to say, well, that don't fix everything. No, it fixes a lot of things. We have this watered down society. And I think it's intentional. I think it's on purpose. I'm a science conspiracy theorist. So I think it's intentional to mess the world up. To take God and structure out of the world. I think it's intentional. And it has occurred. And now people are fighting against. I heard a gentleman the other day, he was talking about his teenagers. And he said he just feels like a failure. I said, no, we're not going to do that. You know, I was at work and, you know, I said, we're not going to do that. You know, you're a good parent. You know, unfortunately, it's parents against the world. Parents who care against the rest of the world because nobody should tell you how you need to raise your children. You know, and nobody should try to push their beliefs on you and your household. And, you know, take the phone from him. You know, take the phone, pour water on them in the middle of the night. They'll keep living. Beat them out they sleep. They'll be okay. And these are things that I did to even my children. And my youngest is only 19. The oldest is only about to be 23 this year. So this whole concept that that they get to run parents and adults
Mhm.
and they don't have to be held accountable, and it's, to me, it's just bull crap. And that's the type of stuff that makes my stomach turn.
That's the type of stuff that I'm worried about, because I'm saying to myself, these are going to be the kids are going to be in government. These are the kids who are going to be making the laws. And I'm concerned just right now with the way society is going, because I'm saying the structure is all over the place. There is very little structure,
Mm-hmm.
like even today, going back into what I was saying about the um conversation I believe so with my husband, is that they're doing what they need to do for the moment, for right now. There's no direction. Like I felt like in my time in our time, there was direction. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Reflection by Abijah. Feel free to check out the podcast Facebook and Instagram page. The links will be available in the show notes. Let's get back to the podcast. 41-year-old woman who eventually one day is going to want to retire. Eventually one day who I want to be able to settle down, and I'm having to hope that these kids get themselves together.
Well, you want that, but we cannot outdo the masses. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you just still hold on to your beliefs. I would tell anybody, let's just say you go to the grocery store and a young person checks you out. Say something nice to them. Tell them, hey,
Yeah.
I appreciate you being here. Make little small talk, because in just those few seconds of time, we really don't believe the wonderful impact that you could make on a person.
Yeah.
And I think that those things are very important. I like to refer things to my younger son. I got a call from him about him from the time he was in Head Start to the time he was in the 8th grade. And the school system that they were in at the time was one of these whatever uppity considered school systems. And then, ended up going to transferring to another school system, which would not have been considered the best school system. But he ended up being at a school where people spoke his lingo. And people got to stop trying to make their kids or themselves first. People need to stop trying to make themselves fit in spaces where you truly don't belong. And that also goes for your children. If my son had stayed in that other district, he would not be on a full scholarship right now. And he ended up graduating with honors. And and unfortunately, and I'm not trying to pull the race card, but he was that one child that tested everybody's gangster. Like, he tested you to the fullest, baby. He hooped, he hollered, he moaned, he whined, he complained. They wanted to at some point they was trying to talk about putting him on medication. I was like, no, that joker played football. That joker got outside. He rode 4-wheelers. I wasn't finna do all of that. Because I knew other people that had did it to their children. When the only thing they needed to do was give them some physical activity to do to work off some of this energy, in my most humble opinion. Because if you can cut on a TV and you can cut on a computer, I'm not finna deal with all of this can't comprehend type stuff. My brain I don't function like that. So he went to a school starting his 9th grade year, and I mean, I didn't care how they disciplined him. Not that they did, but if he would have, because he was in a better environment, because the black people he was around in the other environment treated him so differently. Okay, they treated him so differently, because they assumed he was not taught to pull his pants up because he chose to say it. See the assumption people make. See, they made the assumption, not knowing that he actually walked out the house with a belt on. I used to sneak to school and put on makeup. Don't make that
Mm-hmm.
assumption that this is how my mama let me walk out the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I tell people should never assume how people are allowed to leave
Mm-hmm.
the home, because people really don't know. Don't
Mm-hmm.
assume that I sent him out the door like that just because he appeared in your classroom like that. But when he went to the other school, they did not harp so much on your young men sagging. They didn't harp a lot. There is some things that they did not harp a lot on. But guess what? A lot of most of those kids are doing better than the kids at the school that people emphasize looking the part, but they wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a part in their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
People weren't people you people weren't pouring into them.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm making sense,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pick and choose your battles. So am I gonna fuss at this young lady because she got slides on, or am I gonna try to encourage her and mold her? Which one is it gonna be? Because you can't. My son, you couldn't attack him and get his attention.
Mm-hmm.
You bite, you bark, he biting back. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now he ended up. How do you go from a school system that you was failing in to going to a whole nother school system in just 4 years? And you fooled around and
Mm-hmm.
you graduate with honors and you got a full football scholarship. How does that occur?
Mm-hmm.
See, these conversations
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to have. And so when you
Mm-hmm.
put a person in a space that is conducive to who they are, you can get a better response out of people.
Yeah. Yeah, because you
And
gave him a challenge.
yeah,
Maybe he wasn't being challenged.
but you can't deal with people any kind of way. Like
Mm.
you're not gonna deal with me, even myself. Nobody could ever deal with me in a bully manner. I was never that person. You could never deal with me in a bully manner. So if I
Mm.
feel like you're attacking me and I
Mm.
got my guardrail up, how am I going to respond?
Mm.
If I walk in a building and I got on a jean skirt with tennis shoes as a 6th and 7th grader, all because I may not have stockings on, and you
Mm-hmm.
turning your nose up at me, how do you get respect from me?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
think sometimes that we put a lot of energy on things and people truly don't understand the concept of, you could take a woman and she got 7 kids. Well, 6 of the kids may do well in one school environment. The other child may need to be somewhere else. That's not
Mm-hmm.
separating them, because if that one child appears to be disruptive over here, maybe you need to put that child somewhere where people can connect with that child.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't mind, what those same type of people may have been those same kind of children to where they truly understand. That's just all
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And see,
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to um I don't know, it's like people have some type of self-esteem issues, even as adults or senior citizens or young people, where people feel like they got to make their presence known. All of us are important. So
This,
what's wrong?
oh
You
my
understand?
gosh, you said that.
All of us are important. So what's wrong with you being in a space that's better for you?
You know what my quote is, and I said this on an episode. You're not important than the most important person next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody is important.
Mm-hmm.
I literally said that. I said
Mm-hmm.
you're not more important than the
Mm-hmm.
important person next to you. So stop trying to act like you the bee's knees. Like yes, you are important, but there's other important people out there as well too. And the one of the things that I try to understand is, why is it you have to have this ego or try to boost yourself up or try to outshine the next individual? Like I see it so common, and even in adults, as you mentioned before, you said adults and
Mm-hmm.
elders and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's kind of like, hold on, wait a minute, like what are you doing? Like this is it's not necessary. And I feel like that you get more with being, I don't want to say quiet, you can be
Mm-hmm.
vocal, because I'm very vocal, You could
Mm-hmm.
get more with your positivity and
Mm-hmm.
working with your community or your
Mm-hmm.
friends or whoever, rather than walking around like you the shit. I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
be honest,
Right.
because yes, because it's not, it doesn't work that way. And I'm the kind of person where I'll look at you and I'll be like, I'm not even going to mess with you. It could be something I can help you with,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't help you
Mm-hmm.
because of how you are presenting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation, and I'm not talking about your physical presentation,
Right.
is a factor.
Right.
It is, because we live in a society, what you wear, things like that. Yes, it is a factor. But who you are and
Mm-hmm.
what you say and
Mm-hmm.
the being that you exude out of you is
Mm-hmm.
what is going to grab me more than what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
because that is truly who you are. What you look like is your outside. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that's also the reason why, similar to what you were saying with your son, is that
Mm-hmm.
you cannot judge a person off of what they're wearing.
Mm-mm.
You have
Mm-mm.
to, you shouldn't even be judging on, you shouldn't even be, I want to say you shouldn't be judging them on who they are,
Mm-hmm.
but you want to know that this person is somebody that you can have a connection with, that you
Right.
can build a relationship with.
Yes.
And
Yes.
who they are presenting is up your alley, then awesome. But you had to be conscious of those people also. This is the flip side of things. You have to be conscious of the people who present this is who
Mm-hmm.
they are, but in actuality they really not.
Right. That's
You
true.
gotta be, you gotta keep your eyes open for that one as well too. Whatever they are doing, you're not wanting that to impact what you are doing. So this goes into the partners that you pick, the
Mm-hmm.
relationships that you are in, the
Mm-hmm.
friendships that you have. You want to pick somebody who's positive, who
Mm-hmm.
is going to um, speak highly about themselves. If you are,
Mm-hmm.
it's another side of touching on this. You want somebody who speaks about themselves in such a positive way that
Mm-hmm.
it's projected onto you.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this because I'm going to say a little story right now. I met my husband and I've dated. And one of the things when I met my husband that outshined him more than any person that I ever met in my entire life is we were at the bus stop in Brooklyn. And I was saying goodbye to him and everything. I'm about to get on the bus, but we're talking. And I was like, it was really nice, to hang out with you and get to know you. And he said
Mm-hmm.
to me, yeah, because I'm awesome. And I looked at him like, I never interacted with a man who said to me, I'm awesome. He knew who he was. I didn't have to tell him who he was, or I didn't have to wonder who he was. He was already presenting to me who he was. And at first I thought, that's kind of cocky. But then when I sat back on it and I went home and I thought about it, I was like, wow. Because him saying he was awesome made me feel like I was dating somebody who felt very highly about themselves,
Mm-hmm.
who enjoyed themselves. And why should I not want to be with somebody who doesn't feel like they're awesome? Why should I be with somebody who feels like, well, I'm just a regular Joe?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But who he is and how he treats other people is
Mm-hmm.
as if they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he thinks he's the only awesome person out there.
Right. Right. Very important,
Mhm.
and then that goes back to a lot of what was poured into him. Notice how I
Mhm.
mentioned ago that it's all about how you pour into people. He
Mhm.
wasn't made to believe that he was better than anybody. but he wasn't made to believe that he was less than anybody. So
Correct.
clearly it sounds like he's not a person that was taught to look down on people. Some people are raised to look down on other people. Me and my sister
Yeah.
was talking about the word status earlier. Statuses of people mean nothing to me.
Mm.
The more
Yeah.
your status, the less important you truly are. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not better than anybody because of your status or your those things are
Mm-hmm.
important to you. My accolades are important to me. They don't make me any
Mm-hmm.
better to nobody. So I don't have
Correct.
to, and this is just me personally. There's nothing wrong to be. There's nothing wrong with being grateful for achievements or things that you have overcome in life. But I think that people fail to realize that all of us have made achievements and all of us are important. So don't sit next to me, boo boo, and think you better than me, because you're not better than me. You're not better than my children. I'm not better than you and your husband, and I think that what has occurred over time, that while we have displaced structure, we have displaced discipline, we have displaced God, regardless of what people think. This is my most humble opinion. Things
Mm-hmm.
are being replaced with thinking you're better with everybody. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be held accountable for your actions. And I think that a lot of what on how we pour into each other and our children or their friends or to the stranger, at the grocery store, of the young lady at McDonald's, or the young
Mm-hmm.
gentleman at McDonald's. I think sometimes that we have to not look at what we see on the outside,
Yeah.
because we judge you. That's why it says you never judge a book by a cover.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all see these sparkling diamonds, that the more unique the diamond, the deeper it's buried off in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is. So
Mm-hmm.
those diamonds that are on top of surface real easy, you don't have to do much to them. You know what? You can probably, they don't hold a certain type of value. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we truly do need to go by the phrase, you don't judge a book by its
Mm-hmm.
cover.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just listen and you pay attention to people's demeanor, how
Mm-hmm.
they are with people, not let me don't let me just I got a young lady, and I think now she may be 41 years old. I'm not going to get into her past or anything, but when people see her, sometimes their eyes just bug, because she tatted from the head all the way down to the toe. But who
Mm-hmm.
she is now is not who she was then. And then what a lot of people don't know, other than her classmates and her family, she was still very smart. So she is very smart. She
Mm-hmm.
makes sure that her kids, do well in school, but
Mm-hmm.
they look on the outside of her.
And they judging her for her outside appearance.
Don't judge people for the outside. And I tell people, the more polished people look on the outside, the more jacked up they are on the inside. Because somebody covering up something. You know,
Exactly.
you wear a three-piece suit doesn't make you any better than a gentleman with his white t-shirt and jeans on and dusty
Mm-hmm.
boots. Okay. Who
Mm-hmm.
how do you treat people? Not
Mm-hmm.
people in your circle.
Mm-hmm.
How do
You talk
you
about
treat
everybody
people?
else.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's what I say. This thing called life, we make it too complicated. Life should be simple. Humans in humans messed up things.
Mm-hmm.
We messed up. Things were good. And we want to go in and we want to adjust what needed no corrected. And now here we are. We are a land. We are a earth of things that are truly jacked up, because we kept feeling like things needed to be corrected over time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We could never get to a point to where good enough was just good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We working on everything around us, but we not working on self. And I can't work on myself. I can't help my children. I can't help people on my job. I can't help people in the street. I Letha work daily to work on Letha.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
daily task for me.
Yeah. because it's like you project who you are is you project that outwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for me, like I'm conscious before, because I talk, to you and the podcast
Mm-hmm.
community knows that I've been in therapy prior year
Mm-hmm.
ago, and the person that I was projecting at that point was somebody who was confused, lost, angry, annoyed,
Mm-hmm.
all the above. But
Okay.
the person who I project now is peace,
Mm-hmm.
bliss, happiness, constructive
Mm-hmm.
in a way of I am talking about the things, because I have a couple upcoming episode talking about the things that I now see that I'm doing wrong, realizing it, but not avoiding it. So I'm
Okay.
trying to be constructive to myself so that I can improve on who I am as an individual, because I don't like presenting myself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't want to be constructive. They don't want to change who they are. They want to remain the
Mm-hmm.
same and think that that is good enough, and it's not good enough. I could say at this point I'm becoming more creative, more spiritual. Before that wasn't even a factor. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like we should always be wanting to work and to improve who we are, because that is going to project to the outer world, and whoever may be interacting with us, we want to make sure that they're interacting with the best version of ourselves at that moment. Yes, and I'm saying, because again, we always trying to improve ourselves. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm saying, but we want to present the best version of ourselves. We should be presenting a version of ourselves that is upset, that is angry, that's annoyed, that says anything that they want to say. What I always try to do is be conscious about whatever I am saying, how that is going to impact the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure when you walk away from me that you walked away in the best positive spirit that you can be in that moment. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I remember her. She was just such a beautiful spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And that means more to me than anything. That means more to me than anything. For somebody to say thank you, you're a beautiful spirit. Like, that's gonna make me even want to, like, for the day I'll be
Mm-hmm.
walking around with such a aura about me. I mean, I'm already walking around with an aura around me, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be like, it's gonna make me smile.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we had to be conscious about the what we are projecting to other people.
And that's
And
why and I want to I hate to interrupt you, but you said that, and that's why we have to work on, as you said, self daily, and
mhm,
be careful what we project, because happiness is from within.
mhm,
So you find and you can just pay attention to people,
mhm,
how people maneuver. Some people are
mhm.
not satisfied with themselves,
Correct.
and then but then it's everybody else's fault why they not satisfied with themselves. After some
Mm,
point in life, we have to take accountability for what we're not satisfied with. It's not for other people to. We use the word trauma. I
mhm,
think trauma is overused. That's just
mhm,
my personal opinion. I think somewhere along the way, people came out and started telling people they got all these issues and all these dilemmas, and it's
mhm,
somebody's fault. And
mhm,
you wasn't raised right. You wasn't this. Somebody did this. No, 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 no. Listen. At some point, Jesus was 13. If we
mhm,
believe what we read, if we
mhm,
even believe half of what we read, so
mhm,
past a certain age, we have to start truly working on inner happiness
mhm,
without blaming other people for the lack thereof.
mhm,
And see, so you are clearly that person that works from the inside out instead of from the
mhm.
outside in.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people can deal with anything and everybody except themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how
They're
can
playing the blame game.
yeah, so so when you are a person that exemplifies, you work from the inside out. That's why it's important to do things like meditate, read,
Mm-hmm.
go for a walk. I don't walk like I used to. I garden. I do a little gardening and clean. I tell people, you clean your homes. It's always
Mm-hmm.
something in your house to be clean, because no matter how we feel, when these vehicles and our homes are cluttered, our minds are cluttered. And
Correct.
when you start decluttering that closet, don't everything not about $1. You know, you know, work on having less, because really less is more. You clean out a
Mm-hmm.
space, you got more space. I had more stuff, but I got more space. So guess what? My air is cleaner in
Yeah.
my, I
Yeah.
can think straighter, because for me, I'm not an organized person. So I
Mm.
realized, my sister made me realize the other year, you have to be an organized person to have a lot of stuff. People that are
Yeah.
not organized have no business with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So these
100%.
are, yeah, so these are things that I think that people need to incorporate. Like, you're clearly that person from the inside out. Like, you can hear it
Mm-hmm.
in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
You can just hear it in your voice. Your voice has a tone of calmness and peacefulness about
Mm.
itself. So it
Thank
almost
you.
feels like it takes a lot to, like, take you over the edge, probably because it took you so long to get to where you are
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And I think that we just, if we truly are the example as you are, work on yourself from a daily basis, then I don't have to tell Danny at the store who I am. I need to
Yeah.
show Danny who I am.
Yeah.
Or I need to show little Miss Mary or Suzanne or whoever who I am. And as we work on the inner self without doing this blame game with people,
Yeah.
we everybody got somebody they want to blame, when we have been taught not to take accountability for our present situation. And the first thing I think we need to, more people, because you're there, and I'm almost there. I'm striving, but
Mm-hmm.
the main thing is inner happiness.
Yeah.
Until you can love yourself and be satisfied with yourself, you're not going to be a pleasant individual. You ever been somewhere and you just seen people be rude for no reason? Like, have you
Yeah.
ever been? Or it could be a family event. It could be anything. It could be at the shoe store. You could be in the food court at the mall. Have you ever just seen somebody just get irate for no reason at all, and you've been there for more than 15-20 minutes, and you're trying to figure out what the heck the problem is?
Yeah.
Like, where did
No.
this come from, right?
Like, what? You just left your house angry? Like, what is going on?
Attention
Because this
seekers.
is who they are.
Attention seekers. so
Mm-hmm.
so so now all of this attention, you get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So you've been clearly taught to be self-centered somewhere along the
Mm-hmm.
line, and now you're in a space that's showing you it's not just about you. It's You're not more
Yeah.
important. You're not more important than the next person. We're all important.
Yeah.
But you still got to be happy within yourself. And I
Yeah.
think people are not even being taught to be happy with themselves. A lot of people are being taught to think that they're more important than each other than they are taught the importance of being happy within their own selves.
Yeah.
Status.
100%. I agree with that 100%. I remember you speaking about that. I want to, ask you about this. How you feel about this? I remember I was at Dollar Tree one day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the store, and I'm getting on the line, and I see this young lady, maybe her
Mm-hmm.
30s, maybe 40s. So she had items on the belt.
Mm-hmm.
She had quite a few items. I want to say a good maybe 20 20 items. Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember the it's a lot. It was a lot of items. And then there was this
Mm-hmm.
elderly person who was on the line, and she was behind the
Mm-hmm.
young lady who
Mm-hmm.
had the 20 items.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on the line, and I'm about two people behind. I'm just like, I'm just happy to get, what I have in my cart. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, I wait, till she finished, whatever the case may be. It was one line. It is
Mm-hmm.
what it is. So then
Mm-hmm.
the elderly person says, she starts getting upset because she says, I asked you, was she speaking to the young lady with the 20 items, if I could get in front of you, because I only have 2 or 3 items or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So the young person said, no,
Mm-hmm.
you have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
I was here first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the older woman starts getting very upset. And
Mm-hmm.
then she starts talking to the other people in the line. I can't
Mm-hmm.
believe her. I can't believe that she would not allow me to get in front of her. She has all these items. I only have
Mm-hmm.
3 or whatever the number was. And
Mm-hmm.
in my head, I'm thinking, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying to get out this store. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to deal with
Mm-hmm.
you I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Mm-hmm.
as I left the store, I said, but the young lady was first.
Mm-hmm. It's the
And it's up to
entitlement for me.
her.
Yeah, it's the entitlement for me. And foolishness has no age bearing. And once again, is how she said it, because I'm not knocking anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the best when it comes to time management and scheduling. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are an elderly person and you can walk inside of a Dollar Tree,
Mm-hmm.
you can walk in. You can walk in. Dollar Tree don't have scooters.
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk inside Dollar Tree. They not like Walmart and Sam's. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can walk inside a Dollar Tree, regardless, if you can walk in there and you
Mm-hmm.
can go get your items, then you got time that you just have to wait, because you don't get to tell me that I have to delay what I'm doing just because you only have a few items. And it's
Yeah.
all about how we say things to people.
Yeah.
If you ask her at first, you don't know what type of day this young lady having, but
Yeah.
clearly you want to be a jerk, because you assume that just because you got 1 or 2 items that you get to go before nobody. You don't know if that woman been at work all day, frustrated. You don't know if that's all she got to get for the rest of the month. What she could have
Yeah.
done was offer to pay for her items.
Yeah.
That's what she could have done. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know if this lady got to try to rush home and get these kids, or try to be there to get them off the school bus. You don't know if this lady trying to make it to a game. You don't know what this woman. You don't know if she trying to go to the hospital or to the care home to check on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But what she could have done is offer to pay for her items.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what you could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Since what you got going on is so important anyway, you could have offered to
Mm-hmm.
pay for her items without even asking to go first.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's this entitled, selfish mentality. And I tell people, so you think about how the older lady acted. This somebody grandmama acting like this. This somebody
Mm-hmm.
grandmama that raised little baby who wouldn't get up on the subway for the older person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because
Yep.
probably in his mentality, he was there first. He shouldn't have to get up for nobody.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
so when you see a person that acts a certain way over a certain age, just know that they help raise some of these young people out here.
Yeah.
So that's why I say we don't know how people are even being taught.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 2 or 3 items. Guess what? I got 20. I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm and I've went in the store before. I've had elder people to tell me to go first. Not even because I had a lot of stuff, just out of pure generosity. Maybe because they felt like they was going to take longer. It's not even that I even had less items than them.
Yeah.
They may have to dig in their wallet,
Yeah.
for their debit card or whatever. I've had And I've done the same thing and vice versa. I think it's very unfair to ask somebody that, because and then we ask people questions, we want them to tell us yes, we don't want to hear no. Don't ask nobody a question and you don't want to hear no.
Yeah.
Just
you're gonna get yes or no.
It's gonna be yes or no. And I think that that these are things that's happening in the land, and clearly you probably saw somebody in their elderly age that's not a satisfied person, that's an entitled person that thinks the sun rises and sets on them. But this is Dollar Tree. This is not your space where you get it your way. Or I suggest to elderly people myself, this is what I suggest to them. I didn't tell you I lived in the city of Jackson, Mississippi. Did I tell you that?
No.
Well, I've only been in Jackson since 1996, so this water crisis ain't nothing new. So I can remember a few years ago when it was all over TV, whatever. This only been going on since the mid-90s. And one of the elder ladies came and I cut her hair. And she gets around real good and everything. And she said, well, I'm finna go to Target. I said, when you go to Target, when you get through, can you make sure you get yourself some bottled water? And I said, because it bothers me that the churches and everybody talking about, get stuff to the elderly people, and y'all got checks coming in every month. Y'all can have water delivered to y'all door. The people that cannot go to work need to be able to get in line and get some water too. Like I really said it because I really meant it. Like y'all, like some of y'all at home every day, why y'all already ain't got no water jugged up? And I wasn't being sarcastic. I was just saying that sometimes we want to initiate on other people how we want things to be done for us, and we're not even thinking about the whole. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, lady, that elderly lady probably retired. So why she could, and in my brain, people that are retired and that don't go to work and they can get around, they need to be in the store doing working hours. You need to be in the store in the morning time. That's not fair to wait till people start getting out work and now y'all want to go in the store and then get irritated. No, y'all got y'all. I mean, it's about the proper amount of consideration. Dollar Tree opens up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Most kids got to be in school by 9 o'clock. So why you just couldn't be here when the doors opened up?
Yeah. I know my local supermarket will do that, especially during COVID. They'll have the first 2 hours of the store was I don't want to say it, but elderly hours.
That's what a lot of them did, even here too. And so I just think that as a human society, people don't need to be as inconsiderate when it comes to other people and their time and their space. And I just feel like that you just saw an older example of somebody who truly has no consideration for other people. Because if she was that considerate, she could have went to the store early that morning, or what she could have done? You can make orders to Dollar Tree online. She could have had that stuff shipped to her house. I'm one of those people that feel like that.
Yeah.
If you can walk in the store, you can pull your groceries inside your house. You can have them delivered to your front door.
Yeah.
Most older people, even if they're working, they still got some type of check coming in.
Yeah.
Most of us that's working, we got one check coming in.
Yeah. So
we can't just swipe and get it delivered. We got to go in when we able to get it done right then and there. And I just think, that she just probably didn't want to wait. And who knows, this particular Dollar Tree may have had 1 or 2 cashiers this day that you went to. The lines was probably bagged up, and people don't want to wait. I tell them you need to be there first when they open up. That's my mentality. If you there past the hour that they open up in today's time, post COVID, no matter where you go, if you're not right in the door of the nail shop or the post office or the grocery store or the Dollar Tree, or when you go get your oil change for your car, or at the pharmacy right when they open, that means you want to wait. That means you
Yeah.
got time to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's 100% because it's like you're gonna be there. Like you said, you're gonna be there as soon as they
Mm-hmm.
open. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
same if you go to the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh my God.
you're there
All day.
half an hour before they even open because you know the line is going to be down the block. Especially if
Mm-hmm.
you're in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
And here,
remember when I used to live in New York,
oh,
you be on the line.
well, here, it don't be down the block, but I'm gonna tell you something. These people here, they don't care. So you could be there at like 7 o'clock. If you could be there, like this DMV here, it don't matter that they let you in the door. When they done, they done. So
Yeah.
even if they gave you that ticket, if they decide they done at 3:30, guess what? They're gonna write your name down on the list and they're gonna tell you to come back the next day.
Yeah.
They're not for the faint of heart.
And
They
mm,
they 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 don't care that the sign on the door say 5 o'clock. When they say they
mm,
done, they done.
wow.
And
Wow.
so, and it goes back into consideration and the culture, the attitudes, the no accountabilities, people walking around angry, people act like they're more important than people act like they're better than people. That's why it's important for people to enact daily coping skills, not just with grief or not just with a breakup of a relationship. Not just one young lady was telling me yesterday she had been going through some things because we saw her son on the news. He had got into some big trouble. I'm like, honey, you know what? One thing about it, at least you know what he is,
Mm,
right?
mm,
He
mm,
may not be where you want to be, but at least you
mm,
know where he is. Because there's some
mm.
people right now that don't even know where they grown offspring are. They don't
This is
even have a
true.
clue where they are.
This is true. This is
So that's
true.
why we have to work on that inner self improvement on a daily basis, because when you happy, you treat people differently.
Yeah. No, you do. You it shines. Like I said before, it shines through you. It shines
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
how you speak to people and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you brought it back,
Mm-hmm.
to the coping part. It's like
Mm-hmm.
coping is just not dealing just with loved ones, and coping is coping through other things as well
Mm-hmm.
too. I know I spoke about, I had mentioned earlier me coping with my emotions. My
Mm-hmm.
emotions can get, even though, yeah, there's parts of me you see, hey, she's calm and things, but there's moments in my life recently where I was acting up, and I said, oh, no, 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 no. So it's how to cope with whatever is going on in your life
Mm-hmm.
at that particular moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you're seeing something that's not jiving,
Mm-hmm.
you say, you know what, I need to interrupt that. I don't like the way that this is going, and this is what I need to change about that. I want to say with that is giving yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to mess up. We're human. We are going
Mm-hmm.
to mess up,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always that next moment you can make a change. You can mess up
Yes.
10 minutes ago, and 20 minutes later, you could be, especially if it's dealing with a person, you could come to that person, you could apologize. You know that?
Mm-hmm.
You can apologize for your behavior. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that is showing, if it's affecting somebody else, that's showing them the growth in those 20 minutes that you
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that you messed up. I know some people that I laugh, but I know a person, I don't know some people, I know a person who does not acknowledge their wrongs. They want you to acknowledge your wrongs, but they don't want to acknowledge their wrongs. And they'll just smile in your face, and they'll just be like, but you messed up, right? But they won't say
Mm-hmm.
anything. So, as I said, being able to apologize to people, being able to understand who you are, being able to make the necessary changes
Yes.
in your life so that you move in alignment to who you want to be.
Yes.
Who you want to be should be the best version of who you can't create. Yes, and I'm saying because
Yes.
you're recreating yourself. When you're learning about yourself and when you're making changes, you are restructuring who you are. So, Letha, are there any points that you want to talk about? Because we're going to go ahead and end the podcast episode shortly. Is there anything in which you want to address? Some advice
Well,
or
I can give
anything
some
like
brief.
that?
Yeah, one thing I want to encourage people, and hopefully, you'll have me back on.
Of
But
course.
one thing I would like to just encourage people to work on self every day. Just it's always something you can work on. It is very important to take time to declutter your living spaces. If you live in a bedroom and you're living with somebody, still take time to clean out your living space. I think that's very important. I think it's important that we, you have to be a strong-minded individual to watch negative things and listen to negative things and still be positive. So if you are a person and you're going through a season right now, and you going through this frustrating challenge, or you just going through a challenge of how to make it through the day with a smile on your face, don't watch sad stuff, don't listen to sad music. And you know what, even though we may have friends or associates that may need a lending ear, if you've always been that ear, sometimes your ears just needs to be closed. And the best thing that you can redirect somebody to, always the best being is always God. And sometimes you just have to take space away, like watch funny stuff on TV. When you have negative thoughts, watch funny stuff on TV. Listen to positive guided meditation. I cannot emphasize that enough. Positive guided meditation. And listen to positive things and read positive things, because the more things that we are exposed to from a negative manner, it sets negative things inside of us. And no matter your situation, I did a thing last night, be grateful. You don't have the house you want, guess what? It's some people living under bridges, be grateful. You don't have the car you want, guess what? Some people don't have a car, be grateful. If you got to walk everywhere that you need to go, guess what? Be grateful, because somebody somewhere wish they had some legs and feet to where they should walk. So I think that we need to walk a little bit more in gratitude and humbleness. And I think that once you do that, then those things will bring in love. That's my insight.
Yeah, I like how you said that gratitude, gratitude for just the things that we are, that the abilities that we do have. Because there's a lot of people who don't, and even they don't even have the option.
That's right.
So gratitude. That's something that I really like, that gratitude.
Yes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. I will see you guys next week. Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. I hope today's conversation with Letha resonated with you, as well provided some comfort and insight and inspiration. Remember, whether you are navigating grief, supporting your children, or just trying to find your place, we all matter equally, and we all have something to offer, and we all are valuable. If you found this episode to be helpful to you, I really would truly appreciate that you share it with somebody else who needs to hear it. So again, thank you for listening to this podcast. Stay blessed out there in those streets. Make sure that you treat others kindly out there in those streets. And God willing, I will see you in the next podcast episode. Thank you for listening to Reflection by Abijah. Let me know in the comments section what you thought about today's episode, and share the podcast with your friends and family. The link will be available in the show notes.